Chapter 7, Catalyst. It's the middle of the day and I'm doing some laundry. As the laundry room is adjacent to the living room, but separated by a thick door that is now open for some reason, I can hear people's conversations just fine. Their voices bounce against the bare walls that act as an amplifier of sorts. The thumping of the washing machine isn't nearly enough to drown out the lively conversation going on out there. I'm normally not one to be very interested in eavesdropping, but this particular conversation I can't help but try to pick up every single word of. We're being experimented on. No one wants to face the truth because even if they actively went against it, they'd be shut down right away. They lie to themselves, telling themselves and others that everything's fine. But it's not. It's real. I've seen it. It annoys me to see people doing nothing about it. It's as if they've all given up already. I, for one, won't be a guinea pig. I hear some whispers, but I can't quite make them out. The people he's talking to clearly have opinions on his thoughts, but seem to be too afraid to voice them properly. No one seems to be confronting him about his conspiracy theories, and it makes me wonder. Do they believe him? Or do they think he's nuts? Moreover, what do I think? One thing is certain. I don't doubt Emma's kindness. If she's hiding things from me, then I wouldn't know what to think of anything. If there's something going on, Emma knows nothing of it. Furthermore, it's true, there have been things that don't quite add up. But I think it's too early to even begin to draw conclusions of any kind. At the very least, there's more information to be obtained. We don't know nearly enough about anything yet. And not only that, I heard that there's a storage unit out in the woods. So if we were to go out there and look for it, we could take anything we want. Do you remember the amount of agents on the first day? People mumble. That's right. I have reason to believe they are severely understaffed right now. So we can do whatever we want. In fact, I believe they've even abandoned us out here. You haven't seen them again after that, have you? His words cause agitation among those he's speaking to. To my surprise, that includes me. It's something about his choice of words that irks me deeply. Is there any truth to them? I always did wonder where they went because I rarely see anyone official these days. Only occasionally do you see Daniel and his team, and Emma of course, but other than that, for a camp this big. There's still something within me whispering that I'm just getting sucked up in this man's distrust and paranoia. But his points seem reasonable enough, and that puts me on edge. I'm tired of eating my rationed food every single day. I want more. When was the last time you guys had a real feast of a meal? No replies. Just because we're in a remote location doesn't mean we should settle for less. We're not settling for less. Right, guys? I hear people supporting this man in his words. I do understand his frustration, but we're all under the same conditions here. I know for a fact that Emma has the exact same restrictions as we do in terms of food. If it actually were the case that some here are more privileged than others, I'd be inclined to agree with this guy. That's not the case, though. I heard from Emma that the entire point of the rationing was to make sure no one felt like they were being treated unfairly, as that'd be a massive reason for conflict. I reflect deeply on this unknown man's words as the hours pass. I can't really seem to concentrate on one specific thing today. I wonder why. Our banter has always been fantastic. That's if you want to go as far as to call it banter. Perhaps there's a more accurate way of phrasing it. An exchange of strings of words that would to any outsider be described as bullying and inherent awkwardness. All jokes aside, however you may have perceived it, not once has there been a dull moment that I've been with her. But it's not like every moment had to be entertaining either, you know. The point is, I wouldn't ever call them dull. You know how there's often an uncomfortable moment when the ember that keeps the conversation going slowly dies out. This is mostly common between two people who don't know each other too well yet. We used to have that, but not anymore. Nowadays, if silence comes upon us, we remain unfazed. If silence comes upon us, there'd be a reason for it. If silence comes upon us, there'd be a brief moment of eye contact to relate to the other that we're perfectly fine with embracing it. More detailed than this, I could probably not describe the brother and sister-like bond we appear to share, but it's definitely acknowledged by the both of us. We're a team. Actually, a brother and sister-like bond might not be accurate either. Perhaps the word I'm looking for is quite different. Partner. Today I haven't felt very well. I don't know if what's to blame is a bad night's sleep or if it's depression slowly creeping up on me. The later in the summer we get, the darker it gets. I can sense the testimony of the winter season, an onyx veil linger around the corner. It's impressive what the dark can do to you, and I've learned to respect it. I do feel at ease in the dark, but that's a topic for another time because I'm distracted. It's a bit past dinner time, and the sky is at this point a massive unrelenting force, and its fury is embodied as a chaotic mixture as black and gray. The wind is aggressive in its stride, much as if it had its own strong will. Its countless claws roughly grasp at me as I walk through the courtyard. You see, I'm looking for Lorelei. Today I haven't seen her once. This is something that simply hasn't happened so far, which has brought my mind to an unstable state. She's not in her room, and no one I've asked has seen her. As I trudge down this path I have many times before, a thought hits me. Normally she wouldn't go out into the forest without telling me, but I wonder if today happens to be an exception to that rule. I look at the dark forest. After all, we never officially declared that we'd let each other know when we ventured out on our own. It has just sort of happened so far. Sadly, I have a premonition, and it says that she's out there. Whatever made her do such a foolish thing, today of all days, is beyond my comprehension. It makes me awfully nervous that she's likely out there somewhere by herself. At this point, I've looked everywhere, and with each place I crossed out of my list of possibilities, anxiety gradually added up a massive pile that's starting to seriously take over my reason. Out of all the days to go off by yourself, why choose today? Why? I have to find her. I don't even have a map, though. Today is no exception to the rule. Lorelei is and always has been the caretaker of our map. All of our progress is in her possession. The dark clouds moving at a fast pace makes me fear the worst. A massive, endless forest shrouded in a dominating darkness and one single girl trapped in the midst of it. That's the image that comes to my head. She needs me. My heart is pounding. I curse myself for always assuming the worst in situations like these, but I truly fear for her safety. Something has happened. She's injured and she needs me. Yes, that must be it. I take off running. I make my way into the familiar forestry without an end in sight. I have no idea where I'm going, but I don't care. All I feel is this gnawing, almost trembling anxiety-based sensation originating from my stomach. I'll find you, I promise. I run, and then I run some more. I can't keep track of time. I don't know where I am. I'm merely following a whim, a mirage. Please, Lorelei. At some point, I realize I'm lost. I likely ended up running in circles for a good while, and I stop as I realize this fact. And that's when I see her. Certain things you can't ever be expected to be prepared for, especially dire things involving your loved ones. I feel lightheaded. My feet freeze in place. Premonitions are a worrisome phenomena. They either instill fear in you for no reason, or they're absolutely true, confirming your worst nightmares. Thus, there is no such thing as a positive premonition. Get a grip, Quentin. It's needed now more than ever. By the roots of a large tree she lies. Soaked and seemingly unconscious, for the first time I met her, she looks truly vulnerable. She has never looked smaller than this. No, no. She's hurt, she's hurt, she's hurt, she's hurt, she's hurt, she's hurt. Terrible thoughts fill my head in an instant. I rush up to her. Lorelei. I gently put my hand around the left side of her cold face. She's breathing. I call out her name a couple of times and shake her lightly. No reaction. I run 2 fingers across her shockingly cold skin and glance over her body. A head wound. She's bleeding. Next to her hand, a notepad lies on which a map is supposed to be. However, it's completely empty. Your map got erased by the rain. You got lost. You ended up beyond exhausted in search of a way out. You hurt yourself. My head is spinning. I need to compose myself. First things first. Deep breaths. I need to protect her from the water that's continuously cooling her body. I have no way of reliably getting us out of the forest in this weather, so I have to make the most optimal decision I possibly could make in here. I grab the tarps from my backpack and hastily set them up on the closest suitable place. This is to protect us from the rain. I return right to her side and grab her hand. It's incredibly cold, so cold I feel lightheaded knowing the extent of her dire condition. With my legs doing the heavy work, I lift her limp body up and place her within the tarp shelter I've constructed. An elevation created by the uneven ground out there is partly protecting us from the harsh winds. As the rain winds do hit my tarps, they do hold, but they concurrently scream loudly in complaint. But this is not enough. I need to create a last wall that will keep us enclosed in this tiny space. I desperately pull out a knife out of my backpack and start cutting up all kinds of material. The bag I tear apart into squares, and soon its contents. I use pins and laces to put them together in a patchwork of various fabric. I fasten it to the last opening in our otherwise enclosed space and take a deep breath as I realize the intense pressure of the wind has finally mostly left us. Next up is getting her out of the soaked clothes that are hindering her body from warming up. It doesn't take long with a knife in my arsenal. I start sobbing uncontrollably. Her pale skin is almost blinding me, and it feels like ice to the touch. I take off my jacket and put it on her limp body. The human body is incredibly difficult to deal with when unconscious. No one ever prepared me for this. Tears are filling my eyes, blurring my vision. My fingers barely listen to me, but with utmost resolve, I manage to wrap my pants around her body as well. My arms are shaking uncontrollably. Not from the cold, but from the stress and shock of seeing a loved one in a life-threatening condition. Truth be told, I don't think I've ever been this warm. After all, I have to be. I have to be warm. For her. I get as close to her as I can. My scalding upper body against her ice-cold back denotes the difference in her health. I wrap myself around her and get under the jacket. I don't let go for 1 second. My tears won't stop flowing. I remain in this position for a long time. I'm doing what I can. It's enough, right? Tell me it's enough, I beg you. Don't let it end like this. We had a long journey ahead of us, Lorelei. Surely it wouldn't end before it even began. My arms ache something unimaginable from holding her so close for so long, but it's a trivial matter in this context. I merely push up my body's screams aside, and let the night run its course. She has to make it. She has to. The hours pass, my mental state steadily degrades further. I feel trapped in a scenario only rivaled by the worst of nightmares, and I can't get out. I can't wake up either because this isn't a dream. Time flows together in an incomprehensible, chaotic stream of anxiety and trauma. I kiss the nape of her neck. Don't leave me. I beg you, please don't leave me. I need you. I need you. Lorelei, I need you. Lorelei. I know I wouldn't say these things to your face. I wouldn't have the guts to. And I know you wouldn't either. But if this is the last chance I get to admit these things to a human, I have to do it. I've never met anyone like you. Every day we're together, life brings us adventures. Every day I wonder why fate never brought us together until now. You make me so happy. Being with you, talking with you, laughing with you, it all makes me so happy. So, I don't think there's a better way to say this, but a life without you is not a life I want to live. You gave me something invaluable, but if you leave me like this, I won't ever forgive you. So you better make it. You better make it. Don't you dare not make it. I wake up. The sun's rays are making their way through small pockets of empty space in the shelter around me. It's not night anymore. Morning, midday, evening, and one of them. It doesn't matter though. What matters is that the sun is up and the stormy winds of yesterday appear to have left us. I feel as warm as ever. In my arms lies a girl. She doesn't feel quite as warm. I lean in towards her neck. To my relief, one thing is for certain. She's still alive. Her breathing, however, is shallow. I fly out from where we lay. I wasn't sure she'd actually make the night. I feel relief for that sake at least, but we're not out of the woods yet. Both literally and otherwise. I look around. The terrain is mostly dried up by now. I should be able to carry her back now. Leaving all the items I don't need, I set off with her limp body in my arms. Her lips are purple and her face white. Covered by my jacket that's horribly oversized on her, I see her chest moving up and down. Don't worry, I'll get you out of here. And so I did. I don't know how long it took or how I went about it, but I finally managed to. In the courtyard, I see no one. It appears to be very early in the morning. No one's out yet, which means no one can hear my calls for help. I stumble into our apartment building and go straight for Emma's door. I kick it countless times. My arms are trembling. Emma opens her door. I rush inside. Emma shouts something I can't make sense of and runs up to me. I place Lorelei's limp body on her bed. Then I collapse. I wake up for the second time today. Emma rushes up to me. Oh God, you're awake. Does it hurt? Here? What about here? Or perhaps here? A verbal assault of sorts. Before replying to anything, I look straight over at the bed where I placed Lorelei. She smiles timidly at me, with the usual glint in her eyes. However, she still looks pale and feeble. To my relief, she's at the very least awake and alive. My body relaxes. I didn't even notice I was tense. You idiots, you had me so worried. Emma goes off on tangents for a good while, mostly pertaining to Lorelei's and my health. She's visibly both angry and relieved simultaneously, and it doesn't appear she'll run out of things to say anytime soon. Emma explains how she wasn't sure whether to contact Daniel for external help, as it'd be impossible to cover up the true reason for something like this. When she got her body temperatures to stabilize with the help of painkillers with anti-inflammatory properties, she opted against getting help. I'm sorry, Emma. I close my eyes for a second, feel waves of comfort coming over me. I knew it wasn't time yet. It was far too soon. Lorelei will be fine, and I will be too, surely. And even so, you should know better. I sense Lorelei nodding in my peripheral vision. After schooling us as if we were kids, Emma brings us water. I spill some of myself due to my powerless arms still trembling. She quickly wipes it up without a word. Then she goes back to her chair and starts crying as she keeps ranting about how irresponsible we are. Her voice is unsteady and fluctuates between octaves. What would I have done without you? Poor woman. Seems we really stressed her out, and who could blame her for being for her hysterical state after what we just put her through? This could have turned out far worse, and I think we all know that. After we help her calm down, she goes off to find us some clean clothes. Lorelei speaks to me for the first time since I don't know when. Her voice is weak. Thank you. Don't mention it. My voice isn't at its best either, it seems. I'm just happy she's okay, and I hope I never have to see those purple lips ever again. That nightmarish color has now been replaced with a warm, deep red tint. Why? She's blatantly aware of what my questions pertain to because she looks away. She mumbles something indiscernible. Sorry, can't hear you. She turns around towards me. Her voice sounds like she's about to cry, and the normal facade of hers I'm used to is no longer there. Tearing up, are we? Her eyes sparkle as light from outside hits them. It was dumb of me, okay? I wasn't having a good day and I needed to be alone. I needed to feel alone, and the loneliest place I know of here is the forest. You know better than going out there by yourself, not to mention the weather. You should realize it was even more of a bad idea on today of all days. I know. It was a mistake. I wasn't planning on slipping after all. Well, I'm just glad you're okay. She smiles at me. It warms my heart. Though you also ruined the map you've been working on. She goes through a series of expressions, but none of them really show regret. That's okay, I can just redraw it. I look questioningly at her, urging her to go on with a confused expression. Some people call what I have photographic memory, but I personally wouldn't go that far. So, you remember things better than most, or what? Basically. She chuckles. Our eyes meet once again. She looks timid, but gives me a bittersweet smile. What's so funny? Just some memories from the past, really. Nothing too interesting. If it's interesting enough to make you laugh, then I'd say it is. Well? She looks off somewhere far, far away and begins to voice her thoughts reminiscently. You see, when I was little, I remember that my ability intimidated my mom tremendously. Simply put, I'd remember specific pieces of information she couldn't dream of remembering. To her disbelief, it didn't really stop at that, actually. She chuckles again with the same pained expression on her face. Personally, as a lonely child I was barely recognized for anything at the time, it was all very amusing to me. Thrilling, even. I remember seeing how my ability would undermine her idea of being a knowledgeable, intelligent adult. And naturally, as a child with a new powerful toy at her disposal, I thoroughly enjoyed showing it off. I'm fairly sure it started to hurt her pride. No, both her pride and ego with certainty, because after that she started putting me down whenever she could. Lorelei pauses. She stares out at the sky that's slowly being painted orange. No, in fact, she's looking past it. It's as if she sees something out there that's only for her eyes. She exhales deeply, as if gathering the willpower to continue. My mother was a narcissist through and through, a hopeless case at that, to the point where she just let a kid like myself dictate her mood. I don't think I understood this at the time, so I acted not out of spite, but out of excitement. Needless to say, my mother didn't share this excitement. You see, her job was to be smarter than everyone else in the room. Those rooms happened to be courtrooms most of the time, but the one-room apartment we lived in at the time was not one of them. Her definition of intelligence was based on logical coherence, in which she lost against me, as my ability to remember details surpassed hers by far. I wasn't skilled in the sense my mother was, because really, she was skilled at rhetorics, and as a result at her job. She was a coherent, well-spoken lawyer, excellent at it really, and she had a good eye for detail too. But when caught off guard, with no preparation, my memory outdid hers. That was enough to win most arguments with her. I only reflect on this at a later point, but I'd likely spoken a matter any 11-year-old would. Perhaps that infuriated her even further. I didn't harbor any ill feelings towards my mother at first. When she started making a point of putting me down whenever she could, well, I did my very best to drive that woman nuts. I made every day a reminder of her how her prepubescent daughter could excel at something with an ability she couldn't even attain. Lorelei laughs, but at the same amount she looks full of regret and sadness. The years passed. It didn't come as a shock to me when she was eventually institutionalized for a while due to stress. After all, I wasn't allowing her to excel at what she was good at, and as the malignant narcissist she had developed into, that was something she needed. I crushed her ego. She used me as a crutch whether she wanted to or not. I made sure of that. My mere presence became a reminder of her inferiority. And I suppose she couldn't live like that. What happened after that is a long story. I see. I don't really know what to say in response to such an unexpected story. I know something, though. One would expect a story like this to change the way I look at her, but with what we've just gone through, she's just a normal girl to me. I've seen her in her most helpless state, and I can't think of a better reminder of her humanity. Her sharp instincts and wit have now explained themselves, though. I look around. It's not like we're going anywhere for the time being. What happened then? Lorelei shifts around in reaction to my response. Can we go back to your room first? My room? Sure. Emma soon returns, and we awkwardly change into our new clothes. I get up. Are you leaving already? Are you sure? I feel fine, but thank you, Emma. My body aches. But I don't tell her this. I move over to Lorelei in order to help her up. And you're taking her with you? I'm okay, I promise. If you say so. Just as a reminder, we need you to keep quiet about this. I look at Emma. She stammers. I know that. I smile at her. Thanks for everything, Emma. You're a savior. Lorelei doesn't say anything. But she walks up to Emma and embraces her. Aw. Take care of yourself, sweetheart. Mother Nature is not to be trifled with. I know. We leave an ambivalent-looking Emma by her doorstep and make our way up to my room. Lorelei's holding on to me closely. I can feel the weakness of her body through her feeble grip around my arm. I walk slowly. I lead her all the way to my bed. Lie down. You need it. Okay. She lies down on my bed. I fold a pillow and put it under her head. I cover her with a blanket from her chest down. I make sure she's comfortable. Then I lie down myself. I use my right arm as a pillow, for Lorelei's got mine. Thanks. I nod. You said you wanted to hear more, right? In that case, I'll tell you more, no? Yeah, go ahead. Okay, well... My shelves sway from the furious knocking on my door. I learned a long time ago not to keep anything on there, because in the end it would all just fall down and break regardless. Lorelei, open the fucking door. It's my turn to pick up my siblings at school, and as if I didn't know the fact, my dad is raging about me not apparently being ready yet. As if that's what counts. I stayed up late last night. You see, I always wait for my parents to go to bed. At home, that's the only time I feel like I can breathe properly. I managed to read large parts of my college literature last night, and my teacher's notes too. But in the end, it simply wasn't enough. Once I picked up my siblings, I know that a failing grade awaits me at school. I worked hard last night, but it was all for nothing. There simply wasn't enough time for me to write a paper of my own. It's all in my head, just like it always is after having read something. Putting my thoughts on paper word by word to be read takes me a long time, though. It doesn't help that my household obligations keep me occupied for far longer than I'd like. Well, that's not quite true. By now I've actually mastered most of my chores. To be specific, what takes the most time is dealing with my family. They constantly demand my attention in one way or another. I managed to get into college by merely scoring high on a standardized test. That was a good method for me to prove my worth, as none of the tediousness of my day-to-day life around here was able to get in my way. As the oldest among my siblings at the age of 15, I felt the need to show the rest of them that they should surely be something if they wanted to. It's easy to think you're worthless in this household. I know because I've been there. I still am. I try to appear like I know what I'm doing for my siblings because they need it more than it costs me to put on this very act. On some level, I suppose I need it myself too. Sometimes pretending everything is alright goes a long way. I get up and put my feet down into my rough, worn-out slippers. I open the door. My dad yells at me abrasively. The usual. About all the things I haven't done, should do, and haven't done. My mom isn't anywhere to be seen either, which is the norm around here. I would say she's gone more often than not. Even if she were here, it's not like it'd be any different. In fact, it'd likely be worse. My mother. I think she hates me. She's deeply jealous of how easy I have it. It hurts me to admit, but deep down, ever since I was young, I believe that my mother wished we hadn't been born. Me in particular. A stupid pet would have given more attention than what was given to me. At least, ever since I started making sure she knew of my ability. I'm not a pet, though. I'm an individual with human feelings, needs, and aspirations. And my parents neglect them. Over and over. Nowadays, I'm mostly very numb, though. Getting up in the morning makes me feel numb. Having food makes me feel numb. Showering makes me feel numb. Going to school makes me feel numb. Greeting people makes me feel numb. Walking makes me feel numb. Living makes me feel numb. The only time I don't feel numb is when I'm in the forest by myself. There, I can just exist, free from the demands of the real world. It's as if I step into a separate realm each time I come here. At least temporarily. Soon I have to put on a mask, go to school, joke with my classmates, and try to explain to the most unforgiving teacher I've had so far why my paper isn't ready. But until then, I want to linger here for a while longer. I walk towards the direction the smell of the sea breeze is steadily coming from. It's gently brushing my ears as it passes me by. My hair flutters as the cool waves move past me. With each gust, it levitates in the air for a short while, then slowly lays itself down on my back. Sometimes silky strands of hair get caught in my face. They itch just a tiny bit. I pull them out in slow motions and tuck them behind my ears. As I get closer to the sea, the breeze gradually grows stronger. My feet sink into the forest's soft floor with each step. Twigs snap, fallen leaves scatter. I step out of the emerald maze. This wonderful scenery. This is how it should look. My reality tends to be more like this, though. See the difference? Well, who am I to complain? At least I get to see it when I'm out here by myself. If even the forest were tainted by the dulling lens I just showed you, I don't know what I would do. Seems it's time for me to go to school. First, I'm putting on my mask. Then I'll continue to live my fake life full of charades. She starts off slowly, as if choosing her next words carefully. I feel as if years have passed by since yesterday. Out there in the forest, and now knowing how things may have turned out, I realize things. Mainly, I don't like being or feeling alone. There have been too many charades in my life. It would be nice to just get to be myself for once. The room is relatively dark, but through my curtain, light creates reflections as they reach her tears. She tries to compose herself. I also realized I need my own space. Those are contradictory feelings, I know that, and I won't say that they have done me any favors. She chuckles. Yesterday is a prime example of that, as much as it pains me to admit. Here I have my private room, but you know what? Knowing there is someone on the other side of the wall helps me relax. You can feel your neighbors all around you, above, under, beside, behind, and in front of you. You can hear them. Their presences simply are. So I never feel completely alone, which is perfect. Most of the time. Yet when I'm at my worst, I need to escape it completely. Lorelei stops for a while as if thinking about what to say next. Right before all this, I used to live alone. I kept to myself far too much during that time, I'm certain of that. I had moved away from the only things I knew. A hole in my chest is what it felt like. I wanted to fill it with something after finally getting away from my parents, but just ended up becoming larger the more I avoided people, and myself. I don't feel that any longer, though. What I have now is a good balance. I actually kind of like this place. I don't feel as isolated anymore. She stammers slightly. It's bright enough to witness the rare sight of tears on Lorelei's face. A hole in the chest. I know that feeling all too well. A gut-wrenching feeling is taking over me, and I feel like I, too, could tear up at any moment. I move closer to her, next to her in fact, and hold her firmly. Lorelei continues on, whispering. My parents never really paid attention to me. They just let things drift, you know? They said it took up too much of their time to take care of my brothers, sisters, and me. Together with the dismissive attitude my mother often had against me, for reasons you now know about, I have to say, I often felt unwanted. It didn't quite hit me how bad it was until I was 16, which by chance is when they figured I was an adult. With a nice facade, they told me to get out. So I did. Then I started working. I had to. It goes without saying that I was forced to drop out of my classes. I've been thinking about how to phrase something, and I think I've decided on an accurate way of putting it. They took away my will to live. In the back of my head, for some reason, I always believed I wasn't supposed to live for long. The years passed, and I kept living in solitude. It was confusing. I felt lost. I didn't have any goals, nothing to live for. Except paying the bills, but let's be honest, what kind of reason for living is that? Desperately looking for actual reasons to live, I let life carry me along. I didn't know where I'd be in a week, much less in a year. I didn't care what happens to me. I didn't care about what would happen to me. Even now, I don't have what you might call a dream. I don't seem to be capable of such things. It's good enough to just be alive. I want to get out of here, yet I don't. I am ambivalent towards life. I'm driven by restlessness. I'm disarmed by the past. If I can be happy someday, then that would be great. One thing is for certain, though. I don't want to live and die alone. I really don't. I hold her tightly, much like I had out in the forest. This time, however, I do it out of love and comfort. That night, I dreamt about Lorelei's life as if it had been my own. Nightmarish scenarios play on repeat in my head. The abusive parents of hers were expressions that warp into demonic masks as they haunt me. Despite this, I sleep a full night, during which the warmth from Lorelei's back meeting my chest only increases. The next morning, I had breakfast downstairs. Lorelei still sleeping soundly, just as she should. I wouldn't wake her up, not after a day like that. She needs all the time to recover she can get. Emma's here too, but I have to admit, I'm mostly having my meal down here instead of in my room for Lorelei's sake. Perhaps I'll use this as an opportunity to try to sort out Emma's feelings about last night. I have a feeling she's quite uneasy about what happened, and by showing her I'm living as I always have, I'm hoping to calm her worries. Visibly, she looks fine, surprisingly. I can tell her glance is on me when I look away, however. Ultimately, I have to give it to her. She's not a bad actress. The worked-up Emma from yesterday has been replaced by a calm and controlled woman. After a while, she sits down next to me at the table and starts whispering to me in a mellow manner. You guys are okay, right? We are. Okay, good. Perhaps her displayed calmness is actually authentic this time. We made noise yesterday, and I hope no one heard. Couldn't avoid it. I know that. I just wouldn't want any questions about it. Are you saying you're not confident in your acting skills? Emma doesn't give me a clear answer and moves on to another topic instead. I'm guessing she knows she could pull it off, but being proud of one's ability to lie isn't something to brag about, I suppose, much less so to your friends. That's when someone interjects. Questions about what? I freeze up. I can't seem to figure out how to react. Emma takes the lead, however. Well, if you have to know, I forgot my shampoo as I went to the shower room yesterday. I may have borrowed someone's. A lie. Nothing ridiculous. A believable and relatively safe lie. Emma turns around to the person behind us. I see. So it had nothing to do with why I saw Quentin carrying Lorelei out of the forest, then. Ben. This is one of those things you shouldn't meddle with. You always seek justice and a single truth, but for once, please just stay out of this. Emma stays silent, as it's clear that for some reason Ben knows what happened yesterday. Tell me all about it. I merely look at him in silence. I don't like threatening people, but you're kind of forcing my hand here. I glance over at Emma. She looks defeated, and I know why. Ben's insistence in general won't allow for this to just fly past him as if it never happened. He's not the type of person that ignores potential issues, for better or worse. Emma sighs, looks me in the eyes, only to get up and walk away towards her room. She gave in, and she told me to do the same. All right, Ben, you win. I think about the best way to deal with this, and it quickly becomes clear that my options are limited. After stressing the importance of keeping quiet about our operation, I tell Ben everything. His expression changes depending on the points I hit. They range from one of disgust to a man in awe. Ultimately, he seems calm and composed, and most importantly, understanding. You can trust me. He says those words without a sliver of doubt. He goes on. But I refuse to keep things from Charlotte. A sinking feeling hits my stomach. It's not that I don't trust Charlotte. It just makes me nervous having to involve even more people, and so quickly at that. Knowing Ben, there's no way around it. This is the deal I have to take. It's actually not even a deal. It's a fact I have to accept. And for some reason, I saw this coming. Got it. Ben is quick to extend his hand. I grab it firmly and shake it. Now I just have to explain this mess to Lorelei. I am not looking forward to this. Late in the evening, I find myself up on the rooftop. Every day is a reminder of the changing seasons, and the season we're headed towards, winter. The icy wind isn't pleasant, anything but. In fact, the warm feeling within tells me it's okay. A coziness only found during winter has started to grow. The buildings are shrouded in darkness, with only a few windows as the exception. They illuminate but only so much. The dark is far too dense to be penetrated in such a way. A gentle glow among the otherwise dark scenery shines down on us, and I'm thankful for it. A light at the end of the tunnel in this manner can really make a difference. I don't know where we are going, so I'm not as lucky as to have a light at the end of the tunnel in that sense. But I'm not alone. Lorelei wraps her hand around me. I can't really make it out for she's wearing gloves. Only a numb pressure sensation can be felt. She's there though. Right next to me, huddling. It's only been a few days, but we often talk about what could have happened that day. Right now, though, we're not talking at all. Her soft breaths can be heard due to the stillness of this place at night. They produce dreamy clouds as they take off into the sky. Her warm presence against me is all that I care about right now, and her response to my passivity leads me to believe she feels the same way. Christmas is still a ways off, but a nostalgic feeling within me is certainly making itself known. I wonder when the last time I felt like this was. Perhaps when I was a child, but those days seem so far gone. Warm blankets, hot drinks, and enveloping aura of love in my family's company. I remember those days, though not clearly. It's been a while, longer than I've been at the settlement. At some point, my family and I got numb, just like everyone else. Partially, at the very least. Lifeless, emotionless, loveless. A sickness, a disease, and it spread like fire in a sea of dry wood. But we're now on our way to revert the damage done. Isn't that right, Lorelei? I seek Lorelei's lips with my own. If we ever create a life for ourselves, may we never truly become like those people. The contrast between the cold air and her lips' warmth is so very pleasant. I close my eyes and enjoy the raw feeling of her kisses. With her in my grasp, I feel an absolute peace. Our lips part. A slight coldness can be felt on my lips as they once again bathe in midnight air. A faint smile on her lips, a barely distinguishable blush on her cheeks. And that's when we are hit with a calm wave of chilling flakes. The very first snow. I pull her closer to me. A sea of beautiful flakes slowly pours down from the skies. Pretty, aren't they? Lorelei nods as she stares at the skies with an entranced look on her face. Her eyes are sparkling. Am I dreaming? I have no good reply to her question, as I too wonder how can such beauty exist in a dark place like this? The modest wind is not disrupting at all anymore. Quite on the contrary, it is lulling me. When I'm with you, I feel happier than I have in a long time. She tears up. She gives me yet another kiss. Then she rests her head on my shoulder. Like this, we admire the beautiful scenery before us for a while longer. Only a fire and a conviction of a brighter tomorrow could make this any better. We don't have either of those things, but we do have each other. I love you. I love you too. I open my eyes. Not from waking up naturally, but because Lorelei is straddling me, pinching my cheeks. It's time to get up, sleepyhead. Her voice sounds unusually soft. I'm not opposed to this way of waking up. I groan and rub my face briefly. She's quite light, and it becomes apparent that my chest can support her full weight as she lies down on top of me. Her head is now resting right where my jaw begins. Didn't you just tell me to get up? Yeah, I told you to get up. Well, you're making it quite difficult for me. She squeezes me tightly, not only with her arms, but with her firm thighs as well. I'm reminded of yesterday. I still feel the afterglow in my body. Partly from the entrancing night outside, partly from her closeness during it. I pet her head gently. Grab us some breakfast, will you? After producing a dissatisfied noise, Lorelei gets up and fetches us food and drink from the mini-fridge. I sit up and put my back against the wall for support. She gets right up next to me and we start munching. So, when are you moving in? Lorelei doesn't reply. Instead, she glares at me sternly. No need to be shy. You know there's room for you whenever you want. For you, there's always room. She blushes. My room does get pretty cold at night. As if that's the main motivator here. Ah, right, I'm not supposed to call her out on her bullshit reasons for doing things. Or rather, the made-up reasons she uses to protect herself. When she doesn't want to be upfront about why she wants something, she finds neutral reasons that align with her desired outcome the best, only to claim that they're the primary reasons for her opinion. At least that seems to be a common thing with her. It hurts my heart a bit for some reason, but I still smile to myself as I think about these things. That's right, I forgot to talk to you about something yesterday. Lorelei gives me a newly awoken look, but doesn't stop eating to reply. I talked to Ben. He saw us that night. Lorelei's eyes spring up. And you didn't think to mention that to me until now? The irritation is almost palpable in her voice. I trust Ben more than she does, it seems. I didn't feel it was very urgent. Ben seems like someone we can trust. That's not it. I want to be aware of what's going on at all times. I scratch my head. I was so enchanted by the calmness yesterday, so I guess I put less importance on it than I should have. My bad, I do get it. She appears to relax after my honest apology. So, what's the deal with Ben? I assume he expects us to keep him in the loop from now on. And, Charlotte too. I can sense Lorelei twitching slightly in my peripheral vision. What? Lorelei seems to ponder over it for a while. Ultimately, her face doesn't reflect any aggressive feelings. Having a team to rely on would help, I suppose. It just being the two of us has quite a few downsides. It had its upsides too, but there are risks involved. But it's already done. I guess we might as well go with the flow at this point. We should meet with them. I agree. We finish off our breakfast. Lorelei then heads off to take a shower. Without me, I might add. Poor me. I solemnly swear to live life to the fullest. It's your own choice to live in accordance with your dreams, isn't it? Live in happiness or don't. Personally, one day at a time, I will live my life the way I see fit. No one and nothing can stop me from doing so. I've been lonely for far too long. Under the lids of my eyes, I see people around me, supporting me, brightening my life. This is my light at the end of the tunnel. It's distant, but with faith in it that it's there. Unyielding, I will go on. When the darkness of the vast tunnel consumes me for a brief moment, knowing the end is there, even though it may be out of reach for the moment, will surely help me proceed. I have love in my heart. I see the love in other people's hearts. An immortal love, for we are ingrained with it. Humans belong together in this harsh, cruel world. We are so different, yet so alike. If you experience trouble or see fault in society, know you aren't the only one. Know others are just like you. They see things just like you. You are society. If you want something to change, be the change you want to see. If, by chance, you can't be the change you want to see, then one entity at our core, clinging on to hopes of individuality. One united consciousness, one soul. The soul of humans. The soul is fueled by love, and it's everlasting. I feel like we merely forgot about it amongst all the hate and indifference. The weeks passed at the camp. We had our daily routines. We cooked our own food. We washed our own clothes. We took care of each other, but only those close to us. If you were to ask me, I would say we're not yet a community. For now, we're a group of both friends and strangers living our lives in the same place. Laurel and I met with Ben and Charlotte. We talked about our goals and aspirations, and I'd like to think we're a team now. Me, Lorelei, Emma, Charlotte, and Ben. The other people in our building I see as neighbors. The difference between my team and my neighbors is vast. Neighbors, you sometimes don't even greet. They're just there, and you're used to them being there, which is the very definition of a superficial relationship. Perhaps we'll grow closer to other cliques soon, but when I think about the current state of things, the social stagnation is still there. Most of us really just keep to ourselves. That's the conclusion I've drawn. There are people socializing with their friends or acquaintances, but they're people that would have done so outside of this plane anyway. It's as if we lack something to keep us bound together. Maybe the society wasn't the problem. Maybe we were it. After all, a society is built on human interaction, so the humans living in it were at fault all along. The very concept of society would automatically fail. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Or perhaps there is something I'm not considering here. Maybe a third unknown factor led us to this. And maybe this was a path we were set on a very long time ago. A path we only now saw the end of. Maybe there is such a thing as fate. Maybe we never were supposed to prosper. Maybe fate had doomed us since the very first human interaction. However, when all is said and done, who's to say we've reached the end of that path? Perhaps there's something good right now around the corner, waiting for us to catch up. Only the future will tell us what's in store. But that's a lazy man's answer, isn't it? Strive for what you want, otherwise you're leaving everything to chance. I hear my dad's words echo in my head. Perhaps you're right, Dad. But I'm not actively contributing with something in that regard either, am I? I've stagnated once again, just like everyone else. One thing that differs from the past, however, there are in fact cliques, if only a few of them. Perhaps that's why I've made almost no efforts to stop the average inhabitant's social life from stagnating. Because I personally have something new that I didn't used to have. Friends. A new toy that distracts me from making sure everyone's progressed as far as we have. There's one more reason too. Her name is Lorelei. I feel like we're close to something. We just need to keep at it for a while longer, and I'm sure we'll find what we seek. But that doesn't mean I should use that as an excuse to not make any efforts. At least, I'll try not to. Chapter 8. And then